My training background has been in law, medicine, as well as business administration.
Okay, and you are the founder, like you rightly put it, of the Young Entrepreneurs, an organization working in communities in Cameroon to promote or to empower young women, most of whom have been abandoned as a result of one reason or the other. So what inspired you into embarking on this journey?
Yes, Mr. Lasha, as a medical doctor, I consult young ladies every day. And one of the things I noted was that most of these young ladies come to my office with, maybe they are pregnant. Some of the time they bring their children that they are sick and have been abandoned to themselves. And most often than not, they are not able to pay the bills. And you can imagine the kind of psychological trauma that these ladies go through. So because of this, I started looking for a way that we could help these young ladies to be financially independent. That way they can build this kid up who are actually the future of our tomorrow.
Okay, so what is the criteria that you use in selecting these young women? Let's begin with the target population before the criteria. What is the target population?
Well, our target population are young women who are vulnerable. You see, when we talk about women being vulnerable, not all of them are necessarily vulnerable. We have those who don't have any source of financial support, and those who are ready to make a change, make a positive impact in their community, but they are unable. So what we are doing now is that when we receive this young lady who are able to pay their bills, who are ready to make a change, who are under 35, we usually try to help them out by first of all counseling them, and then we could look for possible means and we can sort out means to help them to start up a small business.
So what is the criteria that you use in identifying these young women?
Well, now they are not really specific criteria as such, but what we do is, if you're a young lady who is a Cameroonian, who is unable to cater for your need, who is under 35 years of age, and who doesn't have any financial support from any source, then you are you can be chosen.
Okay, to take part, you equally give them formal training as well as informal training. For them to be self-sustainable, and you according to findings regarding your organization, we are told that you are very much interested in empowering these young women, because according to you, you believe that if education, if the society has to be better, then women have to take the lead.
Exactly, Mr. Lasha Kinsley. I think that if we keep talking about, there's a lot of talk about women empowerment, but trust me, there will be no women empowerment if there is no financial independence for these young ladies. So my interest now is to see how men should not just be talking about this, but actually taking part in supporting these young women who are helping us to grow our society, to grow our children in a way that they will be leaders and builders of our nations.
Okay, and let's now talk about this other ills that is on an increase in our society, probably as a result of the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic. I'm talking about gender-based violence that is on an increase in most communities across Cameroon. And you consult these women on a daily basis, most of whom are rape victims. So what do you tell these women? Are you looking at kind of, embarking on a legal proceedings concerning these women that you receive every day, most of whom they are traumatized and they don't know what to do since you have a legal background?
Yes, you're correct. Gender-based violence has become a serious problem in our society. In fact, it is a very devastating problem, but it is also a heinous act on the part of the women. what we have realized is that most of the women who have undergone this gender-based violence, be it sexual abuse or psychological violence or assault from their homes, they tend to lose their self-worth, they tend to lose self-confidence, and they tend to lose self-esteem. And you must imagine that because of all of this, they will not be very much productive in the society. Now, when it comes to rape itself, according to Cameroon law, is a serious criminal act. In fact, the penal code punishes rape for up to 6 to 10 years in prison when such an act is committed. So what we are doing today is we are looking at these cases of rape, and we are trying to look at what can we do to help these young ladies to actually achieve justice at the end of the day. Unfortunately, although we have great laws on rape, seems to be very weak at the level of application, and some of the time there's a lot of obstacles that actually obstruct justice. I hope you must know that some of the time these rape cases, they have to do funny arrangement with families, and the young ladies suffer at the end of the day.
Okay, now there has been this polemics or debates surrounding rape cases in Cameroon. Sometimes women are blamed, indecent dressing is blamed on the act of rape. And how much, if I may ask you, how much does indecent dressing contribute to rape in Cameroon?
Well, let me first remind us that two wrong cannot make a right. Just because a woman dressed indecently, it doesn't give any opportunity, it shouldn't give any right for a man to rape her, because indecent dressing in our society, since in 2013, there was actually a campaign against indecent dressing in Cameroon. Yeah. And it is not our culture, not in African context, indecent dressing, and probably in many other places, is not a cultural value. However, there is no justification as to why a man will decide to rape a young lady just because he dressed indecently. So what I think is that we should keep on the two are not mutually exclusive, but one does not justify the other. So we will keep on fighting against rape. At the same time, we'll keep on
so what actually is the problem with men? Is it some kind of mental illness that is hidden that most of us in Cameroon are not aware of, and these men, because of the mental illness, they decide to commit this act? Or is it kind of criminally motivated?
Mr. Lasha, most of the cases of rape happen around the family confined.
Yes.
What we have realized is that most cases of rape either occur in the family, or you find out that it is a close friend to the family that has caused the act. So, in my opinion, most of these cases shouldn't have happened if the parents are very careful, if the parents are very observant, if the parents don't trust people with their children, and we could actually help this out. But on the other hand, on the medical aspect of it, I think that there is psychological aspect. There's personality problem at the end of at the other end of rape.
Yes.
But this, to me, we can't use it to justify. I think if we can punish the cases of rape, or the perpetrator of rape, what we are going to find out is that most people will have to deter themselves from committing such acts.
Okay, now let's go back to what you are doing at the level of your organization. Let's talk about financial mobilization. You've been helping many of such cases. I'm talking of those living in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Since your organization is based here in the nation's economic capital, Douala, most of these women, either they have lost their husbands or partners to the war, or probably they have been arrested and jailed in the jails across the country. So how much assistance have you been receiving from probably partners and those who want to assist you in this move?
Thank you so much. Right now, the socio-political problem we do have in the country has caused a lot of harm, especially on the part of the women. And what we have been doing so far is very little as compared to what we have on the field as problems. But we have had the opportunity to be supported by some good well-wishers. And I want to also use the opportunity to thank the United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees, who had to call and find out how some of these people were doing, and we have had to also direct them on to help some of the victims of the crisis.
Okay, what about the government of Cameroon? Have you been able to, submit some projects at the level of probably the Ministry of Social Affairs and other ministerial department directly concerned with the management of these internally displaced Cameroonians that have flooded, the other French part of the country as a result of the crisis?
Well, we are putting together means to see how to engage the government to see how we can actually help to train some of these young ladies and also give them those means to be financially independent and to protect themselves from being used as a sex toy just to make ends meet. However, we have had this working session with the Ministry of Women Empowerment, whereby they actually refer some of the cases to us for follow-up.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and you guys have been following up, and what are the results?
Right, we have had so many of them, some of whom came pregnant and they have delivered, and their babies, they are doing well. Some of them are actually living with us, and some of whom we have rented places for them. And we have also equally looked for some job that they can be doing in order to meet their daily needs.
In Cameroon, there is this belief by many that psychiatrists are mad persons' doctors, so they have to only consult with mad persons, and sometimes many people who are traumatized, they don't tend to go to this psychiatrists for counseling, so that their trauma do not push them to the level of mental illness, which has contributed so much to what we are seeing during this COVID-19 period.
You are very correct, Mr. Lasha. You see, our cultural context makes it such that any other illness that is not infectious or any other illness we don't know the cause tend to be regarded as a kind of magical illness, and so people tend to be afraid to talk about psychological issues, because immediately you talk about that, they think that you are a mad person. But it is true that just made that some people still do well in some particular field.
Yes.
So which means that we cannot depend only on the government, because most or only on the government to make ends meet. There must be a way that we can be looking around and seeing other opportunities that are presenting to us and taking those chances in order to make
Many
ends.
young people like yourself, they keep complaining that the terrain is rough. They cannot make it in Cameroon. So what do you have to tell most of them?
I would tell them that the terrain is always rough, no matter where you find yourself. Of course, we have serious problems that we have to handle, but that is part of the problems that create the opportunity for the youth. So one of the things I would tell them is that they should come together. Don't try to do it on your own. You may need a mentor. You may need to come together as a group in order to put your means together, and then you fight through. And of course, there are always support given to some of these youth if they can see us.
Okay, and with so many organizations or non-governmental organizations on the ground, you work in communities, in most communities across Cameroon, especially in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. And we are talking about self-empowering women in the country. Can you define in clear terms some of the domains in which you are empowering these women so that they become financially independent?
Well, what we are doing, it would depend mostly on the level of education of the young woman that we consider in our program. For those young ladies who are educated, we are trying to put up a scholarship program that will support them to actually carry out their studies, and then later we will follow them up to see how they can build, they can also make positive impacts in the society.
Yes.
For those who don't have formal education, we are looking for means to also put them to help them to learn some skills that can permit them to equally be valuable in the society.
Skills such as what kind of
Petty
skills?
trading,
Yes.
Frying donuts, like
So many of them.
there are so many of
Call
them.
box.
Yes, even call box.
Yes.
We have some of these ladies that we have given them money to start.
Okay,
up
if
call
a
box.
lady walks up to you now, says that she needs help, she wants to be assisted, somebody who has gone to school and is not doing anything. So how do you train these kind of women who are educated? Not only those that are so vulnerable, but those that are equally educated, but they don't have anything doing. They walk up to you and say they need help.
Yes, I have. Let me just take a case of a young lady who came to my office few months ago, and she actually came in saying that she's a graduate from the university. She has got some amount of money with her, but she doesn't know how to go about starting up a small business. In that case, we first of all find out exactly what she has had in her head as a business, her vision.
Yes.
And then from there, we can help her to see the different opportunity within that context, and most often than not, some of them start up with their business. Like that young lady has already started up.
So they need a business plan. If somebody is coming, an educated person is coming, the person needs to present a business plan.
No, I can't say that they should present business plan. You see, business plan, of course, I always say any entrepreneur that begins a business without a business plan is like a driver without a direction. Nonetheless, for some of these young ladies who come with very little amount of money, your interest is not trying to make them to go immediately into the formal sector.
Yes.
Most often than not, you want them to start with as little as possible, with little means, and then you simply help them out to be able to achieve their goal.
Now let's go back to this gender-based violence in Cameroon. If you told me in course of the program that we need sensitization, we need education. What kind of education should we be giving to communities in Cameroon so that they are aware of these things? Because most of these things, some of them do it unknowingly, especially incest is on an increase within this period.
You are very correct. I think the education should be tailored on both sides, the men, the women, and probably even the children. Have gone to carry out more campaigns that will sensitize men on how to avoid some of this.
But most of them is not. Most of these things happening, they don't look at it from a criminal perspective. Many people don't look at it as from the criminal perspective. We look at it from findings that most of these NGOs like gender empowerment and development, most of these things are related to psychological and mental issues, not only about criminal.
No,
most of them would tend to keep aside issue of criminality and move on. Say, by the way, I don't have any issue with that. Criminality will not cannot stop me from doing what I'm doing, which has to do now with the mental issues that we are talking about.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is that the law are weak. Imagine a situation where a rape perpetrator is convicted in the public. You must then, I think many more people will avoid such a crime. But what we see is that when a rape case happens, the family try to get some funny financial assistance from the perpetrator, and then at the end of the day,
that's backdoor negotiation.
Exactly. There's a lot of backdoor negotiation that go on between both families, and some of the time they do not want to voice it out because it happens in the family. So to them, it's like a curse on the family that if other people get it, then they will be they may be treated differently in the society.
Okay, Doc, we are gradually coming to the end of the program. What is your last words to young women and the Cameroonians who are watching you at this time on this issue, this upsurge in the rate of gender-based violence in the country?
I want to tell young women that they should know that they are the building block of our society. They should know that they matter if we must have a developed society. They matter if we must continue to fight for sustainable development, and they must be part of the agenda. And to be this, they should be financially independent, because there is no women empowerment without financial independence.
And on the part of the men?
On the part of the men, they should be ready to support these women.
Because there are some men who think that if they empower their women financially, they overthrow them.
That is a wrong way of thinking. I think this is more ancestral than a normality. Most men, they think this way because that's the way they grew up, thinking that women were meant to be dependent on men, and that once a woman is getting more than you do, then at the end of the day they will overthrow you or they will disrespect you. That's unfortunately not true. What we have actually noted is that most women who tend to be more who tends to be more financially viable, their family seems to be more stable than those who, except when there is some sort of inferiority complex on the part of the man, who start treating the woman with disrespect, and the woman may start trying to also.
So it's an advantage for men to empower their women.
It is a real advantage because your children will have better education, they will take better decisions, and they will make the society better.
Thank you so much, Dr. TASHA MANASES, for answering our call to be a guest on this edition of The Agenda. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Lasha. It was a pleasure.